Alright, so in this video we are going to talk about using permanent markers and rubbing alcohol for our graffiti letters. So yesterday I gave you a piece of scratch paper, or excuse me, the poster board that was, just scratch paper basically, and I told you to work on the shiny side. I also told you to start with 2 lines, map in your letters, make your letters thick, and then start transforming them into one of the graffiti styles, whether it be your own style or one of the styles from the worksheet. So I would encourage you to stay light. Mine are a little on the dark side so that they show up on the video, but in general, the lighter they are, the better off you're going to be. Don't worry too much about smudges and all of that because it will change as you use the permanent marker. So I have boxes for each table, and they are in these gray containers with a marking of what color table they go to. We're going to have to do a little bit of sharing because while I have quite the assortment, some of these might be a little dried out, but I'm more concerned that some of you may not have certain colors. Yellow in particular is probably the one color I'm really short on, so we may have to do a little sharing amongst tables. So anyway, the fun thing about this is you can actually combine colors and you can actually lighten colors using the rubbing alcohol. But the first thing you need to do is start with your colors, and you're going to actually apply the permanent marker to your letter. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of lining area and kind of filling in. The goal is not to fill in the entire letter though. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of do this top part, maybe drag it down just a little bit. And then I want this red to get lighter as it goes down. I also want a transition from red turning to light and then orange turning to light where maybe they even meet a little bit in the middle here. So I'm going to go ahead and move a little bit of the orange onto the bottom area of the colors. And again, you don't have to go too far. I've got quite a bit of permanent marker on there as it is. So once you have your letter filled in with just enough permanent marker, and you'll kind of figure out how much is necessary, then you are going to use some rubbing alcohol and a Q-tip. And I've got these cups for now that we're going to be using. There's just a little bit of rubbing alcohol in there because you really don't need a ton. In fact, you don't want to be dripping this all over your paper. So I've dipped it in. And then essentially, I'm just going to kind of move my Q-tip around with the rubbing alcohol, and that will lighten it up. So you don't want to produce a lot of lines, but in most cases, because this is a shiny paper and we have the rubbing alcohol, it will kind of smooth out any lines, but you want to try and avoid that for the most part. So I want this again to get lighter as I go down. So I've taken the other end of my Q-tip now. I'm going to dip it just a little bit of it in rubbing alcohol, and then I'm going to drag this down to where it turns into a very light red, almost kind of pink. Okay? Then, this is still kind of clean, so I'm just going to for now use this side of it. I'm going to go ahead and do the same on the orange. Loosen up some of that orange and then kind of drag it into the red area. And so I've got this kind of interesting transition. It's a little rough yet, but it could still be worked on, maybe even introducing yellow on next time. But while we're talking about it, the one thing I don't want to do, and I don't want to catch anybody doing this, or I don't want you to do it, is to put permanent marker on top of this while the rubbing alcohol is wet. Because interestingly enough, the rubbing alcohol will allow the permanent marker to move around, but if you put your permanent marker on top of this while it's wet, you're actually going to dry it out, and then we're out those permanent markers. So please be careful not to do that. Now, you can do all of your letters the same, or you can say, you know what, I want every letter to be different. That's really going to be kind of up to you. So maybe on this one, I'm going to transition into a cooler color combination. So I would do green and possibly blue. Same thing is going to apply. That I put my permanent marker down first, And I will need a new Q-tip for this because I don't want to get red into that. So I'm going to use a new Q-tip. And I can do the same exact thing, but I have a whole different color. Some of these colors react a little differently. Like I noticed this green doesn't change quite as much. In fact, it turns into yellow, but I have a line here that's still kind of present. So I might have to apply a little bit more green if I'm going to do this again. It is changing though. In fact, I kind of like it better because it's more of a subtle change. So I'm going to drag this down. You could also get some really cool effects by putting, like if you wanted dots, you can do dots in your letters. All right, not that you have to. But, all right, so then I'm going to take the blue up. And again, it's the same thing as what I did, so I'm just kind of repeating myself here. But you could do every letter differently from the one before, or you can do them all the same. So our goal for today is to basically figure out what you are going to be doing for your lettering style so that when you get to your actual folder cover, you know what colors and what technique you are going to use. So this would be a more completed version of where you should be at the end of class. Okay, and that's the end.